Good day, ladies and gentlemen. This is Watson Michael from Ceylon Institute of English and Leadership. And once again, we are honored to have John Jeffcock back with us, who is the Chief Executive of the award-winning C-Suite Business Network, Winmark Global. Also, he is the author of The Sweet Spot, Reaching, Leading, and Delivering the C-Suite. John, welcome back. How are you doing today?
It's great to be here with you again.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Great. So, a bit of an interesting question I have in mind. Okay. So, what are your views on skills-based education and the long term of it? Because it seems to be gaining a popularity.
Okay. I think skills-based education. I think its focuses on practical application and real-world ability. So I think it's absolutely key. I think it's the best type of training to do. But it's almost better to be trained really well in the stuff your organization does. And they can be external training come in, train you in new stuff. I think you need the real-based training as much as possible, and that enables you to adapt to new technologies and new markets faster. And I think it bridges the talent gap, ensuring the workforce is equipped and specialised and can operate successfully today, but also more importantly in the future.
Yeah. Okay. So it's quite interesting. Okay. Right. So now I heard some good reviews. Okay, about Winmark's one-day MBA program. Okay, and can you tell us what change that brings, or what are the skills we can gain from it?
Okay, so the one-day MBA is obviously slightly restricted in terms of time. So you have a one-day MBA, a 2-day, and a 5-day, I think. But the one-day is the most popular, and one day is the most popular. So it starts off. So it's divided into really 4 parts. You've got the strategy stuff in the morning, followed by finance, and then you have in the afternoon you have marketing, sales, and you have people and careers. The nice thing about doing an MBA in one day is you get to see how it all joins up. So you get to see how the strategy bit joins up with the HR bit, joins up with the marketing bit. So that's a really nice bit. The other nice thing about it is and academics will hate me for saying this, is we cut out all the academia. So it's really, so we're only looking at the application of the models. So when we teach a model, what you might spend a day in a business school doing, we might spend 5 minutes on. So it's quite fast. People are quite tired at the end of the day, but you know, we work with very bright people, and they're more than capable of doing it. So you've got the whole knowledge part of it. You've also got, you know, like all these courses, is you've got the network of other people who are on the course, who also have those cross-sector learnings can be very, very important. And the other nice thing is, because we run these C-suite networks, is we bring real-life examples in from today. If you've got an MBA, your Harvard case study might well be, you know, 40 years out of date. And so whereas we can bring in a case study saying that this organization did this, you know, last year, so it's very up to date. So you can apply it instantaneously, which is good. It's fun.
Wow. So you guys are bringing, I mean, new case studies, certain things which happen, like, so many things changed. After the COVID era, many things changed. So you guys bring on latest things and give more practical knowledge so they can be up to date.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. Fantastic. Exactly. Okay. So globalization is rising in a rapid way, like never before. And it's fueled by technology, right? And it's quite competitive. What do you think C-suite should do?
This is a very interesting question for a number of reasons. So I think in one way it's quite interesting. So if you look at the digital giants, the top 10 digital companies in the world, who are all mainly American, they organize themselves by business stream, not geography. So you might get a Indian company which might have it might have India, might have China, might have Europe, and might have US markets. That's not the way technology companies see it. They see it as a single market, which is quite interesting. So so technology does enable you to cross borders very, very fast. On the flip side of that, the offshoring that took place. So if you look, is now being re-onshored digitally. That makes sense. So you might have outsourced a response. You might not had a call center in Europe. Might have got outsourced that to India directly. But actually now that can be onshore because now you can have an AI person answering the call. So you don't need to outsource someone. And I would be very concerned if I was running a business that was a call center at the moment, because I think they're going to be under a lot of pressure because AI agents will ultimately replace them. So my challenge, in a way, for C-suite executives, and this sounds like a weird thing to say, but Sam Altman, who's the founder and CEO of ChatGPT, Sam said recently the first unicorn, he's looking forward to the first unicorn company that will employ only one person.
Okay.
That's $1 billion company employing one person. He's looking forward to that. So my challenge to the C-suite is actually, could you run your department with just one person? If he's saying you can run the whole company with one person, can you run the finance function or the marketing function or the HR function or the legal function or the tech function with just one person? And almost if you set that to yourself as a challenge, this is my challenge I'm going to try and achieve, and you try and build a plan to get to that, then you're going to push your thinking, because at the moment what they're doing digitally is that they're just replacing existing methods. They're not strategically thinking about what could this thing look like. So I think that's my big challenge is, can you get your department down to one person?
Yeah, I mean it sounds a bit ridiculous at the moment, right? Because you have different sectors, okay, and different theories, okay, and certain things happen like how you do in that MBA program, which you just explained. New things happen all of a sudden, right? And AI is still under construction. So so it seems I don't. It's a challenge. I totally agree with you.
Challenge. But the big evolution is going to be a website to look at. If you look at the website, these people do not exist. It's quite a fun website to look like. And you look at the quality of imagery of fake people they just invented on AI, then you go, wow, then they put language behind that. And you put, oh, wow, when that gets a little bit better, that's all your call center's gone. Because the imagery is fantastic. In February this year, there was a Zoom call where a CEO called up the chief financial officer and asked them to transfer $60 million US, which the CFO did. That CEO was an AI fake.
Wow.
So they copied the imagery, they copied the voice, they copied the everything. So you can imagine what you can do now.
Catastrophic. Okay, catastrophic. Right. So it reminds me now. Recently, I read on Bloomberg, Mango. They created AI models like real humans and some sort of advertisement, and I was like, wow. Okay, what's happening? Okay, so
That's kind of crazy, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Okay. All right. So how do you foster innovation and creativity within an organization?
Okay. So I think there are a couple of things to that. The first thing is a bit like this one person department is, I think it's really good to give people weigh out their goals, because if you ask someone to increase sales by 5%, they will do the same things they did last year. So there's no point in asking the question. If you turn around to them and say double it, they'll have to rethink how they do things and have to go, okay. So I think part of innovation is about putting a bit of stress in the system. If that makes sense. Putting a bit of demand. We want to be way out there. The expectations way high. So I think part of it's that. I think another part of it is experimenting. So piloting things, experimenting things, and allowing people to test stuff and fail. But to do that, and the third bit really is you need this sort of safe space. You need
Yeah.
a culture where it's okay to experiment and get it wrong,
Mm.
and that's be okay. So I would, yeah, probably commend those things. I think to weigh out their goals, allow experimenting and thing, and try and create a safe space. I mean, obviously it's quite interesting when you talk about diversity.
Mm.
In the UK, we talk about a lot about diversity. The But actually, what you want, if you've got two people who look entirely differently, but they both went to the same school and both went to Oxford, you've got no real
Yeah.
diversity in the room. There was a very interesting, I can't remember who it was. I think it was a football group, or I can't remember exactly which sports team it was, but they brought
Okay.
together a lead ballet dancer. They brought together a lead, from all different walks of life. They brought together a neuroscientist. They brought together, so they weren't based on gender or ethnicity. It was based on their technical background.
Mm.
And so I think what we talk about diversity, talk about gender and ethnicity and all these things, but we don't talk about is cultural background. What we don't talk about is experience background and
Mm.
neurodiversity, and those three are actually more important than the surface to a private enterprise. If you want innovation, that diversity around the table can be really, really important. Interesting enough, in the UK, the
Okay.
richest community is Indian.
Mm. Wow.
Richest
Yeah.
community in the UK per head is Indian in the UK. And if you ask an Indian why is that the case, he said, "Well, if you're Indian, you have to be a doctor, you have to be a doctor, a lawyer, or an accountant. Of course, we're richer than you are."
Yeah.
So, so that's culture. That's culture. We're not allowed to talk about that. We're not allowed to talk about that. But it's quite interesting to see how it happens.
Yeah, yeah, you're correct, right? Okay, what's the name that Bollywood actress? Anil Kapoor's daughter, right? He's a famous Bollywood guy. I don't remember her name. Okay, she was a Kapoor, right? She was married to some Ahuja, if I'm not mistaken. They recently bought a £1 million mansion or something in the UK. All right. So,
Yeah.
okay, what's the name? Sonam Kapoor. Sonam Kapoor. Right. Okay, got it. Right. Okay, great. So
Cool.
now, yeah, managing risks in a regulated environment is always a challenge. Okay, especially these days. How can the C-suites focus on that?
I think this is a really a very good question to ask now. Um, so I sit here so I'm in London today, and
Mm.
I and we are part of Europe, but not part of the European Union.
Yes.
And the reason I say that specifically is the European Union is starting to be known globally as the super regulator,
Okay.
and because regulation is so advanced compared to other areas. Now that's a bad thing. That's a
Mm.
bad thing because it stifles innovation, which we just talked about. It stifles creativity, which we talked about. So the new
Yeah.
iPhone that is coming out at the moment, you will
Yeah.
not you will not be able to buy. Well, you'll be able to buy it in France and Germany, but part of its functionality will be switched off
Wow.
because the AI laws clash with European AI laws. It's not going to be
My.
switched off in the UK because UK had Brexit. And I didn't vote for Brexit. I thought Brexit was a bad idea. But
Mm-hmm.
if the EU continues to go down its regulatory path, which it is going down, then that's a real problem, because you can't regulate yourself to success. If that makes sense. You can't. It doesn't work. So that was the
Yeah.
first point makes. So I think what does the CC got to think about? I think it's got to think about. Had a conversation with a member who are a financial services
Mm-hmm.
company
Okay.
prior to COVID. Prior to COVID, they had 9 people in the legal team and 3 people in compliance.
Okay.
Today, they have 16 in legal and 40 in compliance. 40.
Wow.
That
Wow. That's a
tells you how much
skyrocketing.
regulation is coming out, and
Mm.
none of that creates any value in the world. None of that creates any
Yeah.
value, and that goes back to the point you make about innovation. If you can't and the reason regulation goes in is because occasionally companies fail and people lose money and they get very upset about it. But if you imagine companies like trees in a forest, and occasionally a tree, dies of old age, or it's the wrong thing, or it gets surrounded by other bigger trees. In a way, it's a natural process that occasionally companies will fail. If we regulate ourselves into a place where companies can never fail, it's a disaster. The woods aren't going to grow, the forests aren't going to grow. So I think it's a real problem. In the first time in my lifetime, we have the in-house lawyers building spreadsheets of all the incoming laws, and what they're looking at is what is because they physically can't do all of them. They can't do all of them, and because there's too much law coming in, and the change it creates is just too. They haven't got the bandwidth to do all of it, so they're now having to select which ones we do and don't do. And they're selecting it based on the reputation impact and the fine that might be occurred. So I think this is a real issue. And our chairs and non-exec group, our board directors, is concerned that they don't know what laws are coming out because it's coming out so fast, and they don't know whether their organizations are doing it all. So there's I think it's a very serious issue. I think we've moved to an over-regulated world.
Well, it's crazy. Okay, it's that old saying: too many cooks spoil the soup, right?
Yeah.
It's crazy. Okay, I mean, so many regulations coming, and okay, right. So, John, what was your biggest challenge during the early days of Winmark? Okay, and how was it sorted?
Well, the biggest challenge in these things is always winning your first clients. Always winning your first clients. So what I did,
okay.
I was living in a rented house in Battersea.
Okay.
And I had it was a friend's house, and I used to write letters. So it was when fax machines existed. So I used to write letters to people and say, basically, can we work for you? And eventually, a very large Japanese company responded and said, yes, I'd like to have a chat with you about this.
Okay.
Very nice Japanese man responded. So he said, can I come and see your office? I went,
okay.
Oh, wow, I'm in trouble now because I haven't got an office. I've got a desk next to in a kitchen. So I thought, what do I do?
Okay.
So what I did was I cleared out the entire ground floor of this house over a weekend because it was coming on the Tuesday or something. The weekend I cleared out every bit of furniture on the ground floor. I asked four friends to come over with their desks and PCs, and said, when they come, can you just pretend you're doing something? And so it was just me. So it's very, very hard getting your first clients because you've got no reputation, you've got no case studies, you've got no. So it's much easier. I think it's easy to come from an organization and then you set up something that does something similar because in a way you take reputation with you.
Yeah.
What I was doing was starting something from scratch I didn't know anything about. So it was much harder because I had no reputation to build on. So it took longer. It took longer to build that network and trust. But it was, and you don't pay yourself any money. And people forget. People always think, running your own business is great and all these things on it. But in our office where we employ 20 people, I changed the loo seat last week. Because who else is going to do it? I can't ask a member of staff to do that, so I go in and change the loo seat. I could ask a builder to come in, but it doesn't take very long. It takes 5 minutes, so I thought I'll do it. And that's what. So it's not a very. People always think that being a CEO is a very glamorous role. It's not. It's the hardest working role. You do all the rubbish stuff.
True. True. I 100% I agree with you. Okay, so the people when they look at the CEOs outside, they think like, wow, okay, he's having a prestigious role. Okay, it's an easy job. He has only delegate, but no, it's more than that. Okay, we have to keep learning every day. We have to look at the complaints. We have to look at the regulations. What is happening? We should know certain things about geopolitics, strategy, and what best we can do. Right, so it's not easy, right? Being a CEO. So both of us are CEOs. Okay, so
Yeah.
It is a tough job. It is not easy, right? And there are times where we work on holidays as well. But yeah, I would say most of the time. Okay, so the only day I take off is on Christmas. But
Yeah.
thanks to technology, even when we travel, we can work.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, you have the one advantage is you are the master of your own life.
Mm.
So that is definitely that's definitely an advantage. So I can go on holiday when I want to, but I still take less. I don't. Everyone else in the company records their holiday. I don't record my holiday. I probably take less than them. And I work every weekend.
Say, all right, welcome to the club.
Yeah.
Same here, right? Every single day. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Great. So, John, any final message to our viewers and listeners from you?
Well, first of all, this so after what we've talked today, I
Mm.
would say a key life thing to do is to stay adaptive and to keep building your CV in your career. Always build your CV, do new stuff, take on challenges. So stay adaptive and build your CV would be a point I'd recommend. I'd also recommend investing in people and paying for really good talent. And really important. You want to basically plan your succession as fast as you can. You want to know that people in your company can replace you, because then you can go on and be chair and do other things. And it depends what you want. I was told by someone who works with entrepreneurs once a very good bit of advice. You can either, he said, cash or king. So question is, as an entrepreneur, do you want to make lots of money, or do you want to run it? And the people who run it don't make as much money as the cash people. The cash people set things up, they get them going, build them, and then sell it. But they don't own all of it. They give away a lot more to begin with, but they in the end they make more money. Whereas people who want to be king, the boss, the CEO, which is the route I took, which may have been a mistake, is 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 you are the boss, which is great, but you don't make quite as much money because you're not selling businesses, and you make money out of selling businesses. That's how you make money.
Yeah.
So the first thing is stay that active, invest in people so you can, and the other thing is you've got to be known for something. So think about your positioning. What thought leadership people come to you for? If that makes sense. What is your area of wisdom? What is your area where you know more about something than anyone else? So why would they put you on a conference stand? What would be your guru bit? If that makes sense. So I would say that would be my main bit. It is sort of yeah. Stay active, keep running your CV, invest in people, and plan your succession, and this bit around leading with integrity, but also this thought leadership piece around yourself would be my final point.
Wow. Okay. Inspiring. Great. So, John, thank you very much for taking time and doing this podcast with us.
Really good to see you again, and can I wish all your listeners every success.
Thank you. Thank you very much.